So obviously happy to get the win. You know, I think there was stretches again where we're just continuing to try to build what we need to do to execute against any opponent, and that was really the focus of what we were talking about leading up to the game, during the game, and after the game, of making sure we're trying to make as many winning plays and have as many winning possessions as we possibly can. You know, we didn't want to have situations where, maybe just because they missed the shot, we consider that to be the right thing to do or the right way to guard something. So that was really the focus of today, and I thought our guys, for the most part, did a really good job of it.
A lot of different guys contributed in the win, also the first one in 21 days. I mean, how much of a confidence booster is this for you guys?
I mean, I think in some aspects it's what we're supposed to do. And it'll give us a good opportunity. Some guys got some extra minutes. Some guys got fatigued, right? We still got to continue to teach and grow. We got to continue to build some more depth, and it's got to be consistent depth. It's got to be consistent effort and energy and execution, especially the defensive formula, right? Like, you're not always probably going to get whatever Varro finished with 12 and 9 or 9 and 12 or whatever, but he should go to the glass every time, right? And that's stuff that we discuss with him and need him to do, because those are important plays, and how can you do that consistently? And it might not sound to be perfection, but if you go back and watch the first 10 games, the number of times that he went to the glass like that's probably very few, right? So we need him to do that against every opponent that we play.
Coach, what did you think about your team's pace tonight? I thought coming out of the gates it was really fast. They struggled to keep up with your ability to move the ball. Just overall, did you like what you saw from the ball movement and the pace you guys came out with? Is that how you want to create successful basketball?
We just want to be able to play the game the right way. So if there's opportunity to attack, we want to do that, right? We want to be opportunistic in that. If they do a good job of getting back and getting set, then we want to be able to flow right into some kind of action or some kind of concept to create advantage, and that's our goal. We talk about shooting a good shot, one that you're ready, that you make it a high percentage, and that's uncontested. Like, if we can have those possessions on a regular basis, whether it's 10 seconds in or 15 seconds in, that's the goal of the possession. So we played a little bit faster this year than we have in years past. I think some of it's personnel based. But it still comes down to our ability to defend, our ability to rebound and take care of the ball. Those are the three things that we've got to continue to improve upon and focus on as we continue throughout the season.
It seems like about every team's playing these Division III schools. When you were a player, do you remember playing against Division III teams?
Yeah, I do. And when I first got here, we didn't. And then we've done it the last handful of years. I go back and forth on it some. The hard part is it's hard to get home games. And so if there was a real push across Division I to make sure that everybody was going to play games home and road, then it might provide the opportunity for people at our level to get home games. And like our home games so far this year, obviously in the tournament. Delaware, really good team that we got to play at home. Cornell, our next home game, really good team. Those are hard games. But I think if everybody's playing them, then it's okay. You get frustrated sometimes if you decide not to play some of the non-ones, and then all of a sudden, Team X, there's some teams that play 4. And all of a sudden you look at the end of the year and they got, 4 more wins than you, and you're like, what are we doing? It's like, I don't know. I go back and forth.
So as a player and as a coach here, how hard is it to keep guys from getting sucked in with playing street ball and so to speak?
Yeah, I think it's
I
always.
might have saw a little of that today.
Yeah, I think it's always the challenge, and I think what we continually talk about, and Josh Corbin was saying it probably in the last 3 or 4 media timeouts, is like, respect the game. You got to respect the game. You got to play the game the right way. You can't, start to do things that are out of character. And I thought those last 8-9 minutes with Chris Ford, with Alfredo, with Alvaro, Trey got out there, right? Those are valuable minutes for those guys. Like, those are really important minutes. It's not. It's another opportunity to earn trust with your coaches, earn trust with your teammates, get stronger in the executional formula. Now, that's not always the way they look at it, but that's certainly what we're trying to preach to them as we go in those moments, because they're really critical. They're really important. Like, those 5-6 minutes might be able to be a springboard for some improved play and some improved consistency as we get into January and February.
Coach, you guys had 5 days off from the Monday night. Do you think it was a good reset for your players to maybe focus on something other than basketball? They had finals during the week. Do you think it could have been a good reset for them because you don't always get the basketball off during the season?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we obviously gave them a couple of days off. We had a couple of days that were we had to do it was just like a shooting day. You know, certainly it can be helpful sometimes to kind of exhale a little bit. But I thought, you know, like yesterday we had a really good practice. Thursday we had a really good practice. And those are the things that we got to keep trying to have more of. Those engaged practices, mentally and physically, to continue to create some of the right habits that we need.
If you could put yourself in Mike's shoes, could you imagine having your son playing like this against you?
No, that would be a hard one. It's usually easier when you don't like the people you're playing against. It really makes it complicated when it's your own son. And it was his idea to play the game, so it's not like he was forced into it. And I think it's a cool thing now that it's over, but I think it was a hard couple hours when you're kind of, you know, looking down the bench, and, you know, even DP, I think, you know, played him a little bit more in that second half to, you know, have him be out there some. And but Mike's a competitive dude, man. He's not trying to lose at anything. So even if it's his own blood across the way, he's trying to make sure that we're defending properly and executing properly and all that stuff. But it's I'm sure there was some moments where it's, you know, a challenge to kind of stay on task.
It was a very brief hug after the game too.
How did you feel about TJ's performance tonight? He's been producing a lot this season so far. He came out of the gates just like the team high. What are you seeing in his play so far that's being that first off the bench player?
Yeah, I think he's being aggressive, and we need Teach to be aggressive. We talk to him about it all the time. I think he's got a really good, you know, role that he's established in terms of his ability to come off the bench and give us a little bit of pop, give us some of that aggressiveness, and we don't want to take that away from him. And so we've been encouraging him to do that, and obviously continuing to coach and say, okay, yeah, we love this. This was pretty good. You know, maybe we could, you know, like that last 3 he took on the break. You know, he kind of said, Coach, I thought I felt it. I don't want to take that kind of instinct away from him, because I think he's the kind of guy that if you take that away, then you don't get any of the other positives, right? Then you're all of a sudden, he's thinking, he's not playing instinctually, he's not on the attack, which is where he's at his best. And so we're trying to encourage him, you know, to be that guy. We just need to make sure that he's consistent on the defensive side. You know, he's got to be able to hold his own down there. He's got to be able to be engaged positionally and rotation-wise, so that he can be out there being that aggressive guy that helps us, you know, provide some of that punch.
Josh Brooks had his struggles with three-point shooting throughout the year, but today 4 for 5, 16 points. Just how important was that to have a game that he was able to produce from beyond the arc?
Yeah, I think he you know, you could see it on him a little bit. You know, he was starting to stress, and even, you know, the last couple of days he's gotten a bunch of extra shots up, and you know, there was a couple in practice that you missed, and you can kind of see him starting to hang his head. And, you know, no one ever questions Josh's shooting ability. I mean, he's got a unique skill to be able to make shots. So I think it was great to have him see a couple go in. And I thought the best part about his game today was that he actually got in the paint a bunch. You know, and sometimes I think when you get into the paint and you kind of get flowing, he had a number of assists. He got on the backboards, right? Like all of a sudden you start doing all those things, and the ball finds its way into the basket. And so to have him make a couple of those there in that second half, I think was like a good sense of how you need to continue to just play the right way and do the right things. And, you know, when you can shoot it like he can, we know that it's gonna start to go.
You spoke of the paint. How did you feel about your team's ability to get down low and not rely so much on the outside shot?
Well, obviously we had a size advantage. There was times where we had a pretty big size advantage, and so, you know, we want to be intelligent about trying to play inside out. You know, trying to get those paint touches, trying to get those opportunities at the rim. You know, we've got to continue to get better at finishing at the rim. You know, so this was a good opportunity for us to do that. And I thought, you know, I think Marquise was 6 for 7. I think Steph was 6 for 9. You know, and one of those was had no chance of going in. You know, so I think if we can get some better finishing production in and around the basket, it'll certainly help our offense and our efficiency and our balance. Well, good.